Okay, so today we're going to learn, well, not learn, we're going to review how to solve expressions and formulas. So the first thing you need to know is how to use a formula. So we're going to do a couple word problems because you guys are going to have word problems. And we're going to talk about variables, algebraic expressions, order of operations, and formulas. Do you guys know the difference between an expression and an equation? Anybody know the difference?
In an equation, there's an equal symbol.
Yes. So in an expression, there's no equal sign. In an equation, there is. So these expressions, they could have a different answer depending on what we put in for the variable. An equation has an equal sign. So we're going to start with the first one, order of operations. Oh my gosh, parentheses, right? Grouping symbols. You do everything inside the parentheses. You guys, if there's no anything inside the parentheses except the number, you can't start with that. Then you do your exponents. Then multiplication and division in order from left to right. You don't do all your multiplication and then all your division. You do it in order from left to right and then adding and subtracting. Okay, so let's do example 1A. Now, wherever we see an M, we're going to put a 12. Wherever we see a Q, we're going to put a -1. So, M is 12, so I'm going to put 12 right here. 3 minus -1. You guys, I always like to put that -1 there. If you're like, well, Miss Flurry, I know that minus a negative is a positive, then you can do that. It depends on how comfortable you feel in that step. I always show all of my steps. I've always been like that. That doesn't mean that you have to be like that, but I do expect work shown. So now I would have 12 plus 3 plus 1 squared. I don't care if this is your first step, but you have to show me, you can't just write 4 squared. I need to see at least the one step, okay? Then 12 plus 4 squared. 12 plus 16, and that equals 28. Okay. Again, wherever we see an M, we're going to put a 12. Wherever we see a Q, we're going to put a -1. So the M is 12. 2 times 1, so it's 12 divided by 2 times 1 plus 4. What? Yes.
It's -1.
Oh, thank you. It is -1. I appreciate that. Okay. Because it's 2Q, it's kind of like you have to do, well, you don't have to do that. We're going to do the division. So 12 divided by 2 is, we're going to do this 2 first. 6, then times -1 plus 4. Six times -1 is -6 plus 4. -6 plus 4 is -2. Can you use a calculator? I know that's going to be your question. Yeah, that's fine, but you need to make sure that if you use your calculator, that it's in terms that it makes sense. That in your head that you understand why that equals -2. Okay, so remember a fraction bar is a grouping symbol. That means you do everything on top of the fraction, you do everything on the bottom of the fraction before you divide. Okay? I'm gonna move it, so are you guys good? Because I'm gonna flip it over. if you're at home watching this, you shouldn't be flipping anything over, okay? I'm gonna just talk to you guys because it's gonna be fun. And then hybrid A's will be like the Miss Flurry. Just stop talking to the video. And I'll just be like, next week I'll just be like, hi, bye, hi. And you'll be like, oh my God. You guys are not laughing. Oh my God. Yeah, there we go. Okay, again, you guys, we're just plugging these in. So h squared times k plus h times h minus k. Whew, that's a tongue twister. So for h, we're going to put what? 4, and it's going to be squared, times k, which is?
0.5.
You don't have to put the 0.5. I mean, like the 0.5, you could just put 0.5 if you want to. Plus 4 times 4 minus 0.5. Okay, so 4 squared is 16 times 0.0. I'm just going to put 0.5, you guys. And because there's parentheses here, let's do what's inside the parentheses. What is 4 minus 0.5? 3.5. So you guys, I did that multiplication and I did what's inside the parentheses because parentheses and exponents, and because they're separated, I could do them in the first step. And you can do that as well. If you're like Miss Flurry, I just want to show each step individually, I'm fine with that. That's probably how I did it when I was in Algebra 2, because I was methodical and I wanted to show each step. Now we're going to do 16 times 0.5. What is 16 times 0.5? It is 8, because it's basically telling you to multiply it by 1/2 or take 1/2 of 16, and that's 8. And then 4 times 3.1, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that, 3.5. It is 14. You're like, Miss Flurry, how did you do that in your head? I didn't, he did. I'll be honest. I mean, I could have done it, but he did it quicker for me, so that was nice. So 8 plus 14 is 22. Okay. Okay, so I put a J, so I replaced the J with -1. I replaced the H with 4. We're going to do what's inside the parentheses first. So I have -1 plus 3 minus 4 is -1. And then I'm going to do the -1. You guys, it's really important that in your calculator, if you're going to do this problem in your calculator, that you put the parentheses around the -1. If you just type in -1 squared, what you just told your calculator to do was the opposite of 1 squared. So it's going to square the 1 first and then put the negative on it. This one, if you put the parentheses on it, you just told your calculator, I need you to square -1. You told your calculator you wanted to do -1 times -1. So I have -1 plus 1, and that is going to be 0. Anybody know what those are called? On Tuesday, if you opened your folder on Tuesday, we did an algebra review for Algebra 2, and it asked you about an additive inverse. These are additive inverses. Additive inverses always add up to 0. Okay. So this is a pretty long one, you guys, and so I'm hoping I can fit it all in with my huge handwriting. See how it says j squared? That means you need to put parentheses around the -1 because you need to square it. That means j times j. So make sure you realize that whenever you see a j squared, it means j times j. Minus 3 times h squared times 0.5. Over j squared again, plus 2. I don't like to use equal signs in the expressions because it's an expression, and I used to use equal signs all the time, but we just got done discussing that equations and expressions are not the same because equations have equal signs and expressions do not. So I try to stay away from those equal signs. I know you probably do it, and I've done it for a really long time. I wanted to make sure that you understood why I put an arrow there. So -1 squared. -1 times -1 is 1. Minus 3 times, so you guys, this is all one big equation. So 3 times 16 times 0.5 over 1 plus 2. I knew I was going to run out of room. Anybody have Mrs. Chasey? She can write tiny. Anybody else having trouble keeping up in there? No, because you guys write microscopic. This is why I have reading glasses and far distance glasses. My glasses are Coke bottles. You can tell, right? These are thin lenses. Okay, I digress. Okay, ready? Here we go. So it's going to be 1 minus 3 times 16 is 48. 48 times 0.5 is 24. 1 plus 2 is 3. So again, you guys, I did 3. I just acted like that was a minus sign. I did 3 times 16 was 48. 48 times 0.5 is 24 because half of 48 is 24. 1 minus 24 is negative 23 over 3. Last question. I promise I'm trying not to bore you. The formula for the volume V of a rectangular prism is volume equals length times width times h, where L represents the length, W represents the width, and H represents the height. Find the volume of a rectangular prism with a length of 4, a width of 2, and a height of 3.5. So volume equals LWH, 4 feet times 2 feet times 3.5 feet. You guys, those feet are very important because if they're giving it to you, that means you need to put it in the problem. Probably in Algebra 1, we probably didn't make a big deal about it, but we're in Algebra 2. Whether you're in Algebra 2 regular, guys, or Algebra 2 honors, this problem, this section is still the same. So 4 times 8, did you notice I just did that in my head? 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 8 times 3.5 is 28 feet. So it goes back to that exponent rule when you have 3 of something. So feet times feet times feet is feet to the third. So 28 feet cubed.